Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jai Mr. Pad Paramahansa Paravadikacharya Ashtotar the Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravadikacharya Ashtotar the Sri Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. Text 42? Okay. Wait a minute. Did we? I don't think we read 41.
He did.
Huh?
He did.
Oh, he did read it. Okay.
He cited text 40, but then he read that.
Yeah, because there's no purport to 41, but there. All right. Okay. Narayana Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamadirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, we should offer our respectful obeisances unto Lord Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vāsudeva, the author, and unto Srila Prabhupada, the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktim Bhavati Naishtaki Bhavati Naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering devotional service to the pure devotee, all that is inauspicious within the heart is destroyed almost to nil, and loving devotion to the Supreme Lord, who is glorified in transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsudevaya. On this 9th day of October 2024 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti-yoga Swami Prabhupada. We are in Canto 7, The Science of God, Chapter 13, The Behavior of a Perfect Person, text number 42. Naham Ninde Nacha Staumi Swabhava Vishamam Janam Etesham Shreya Ashase Utaikatmyam Mahatmani Naham Ninde Nachastaumi Swabhava Vishamam Janam Eteshang Shreya Ashase Utaikatmyam Mahatmani Naham Ninde Nachastaumi Swabhava Vishamam Janam Eteshang Shreya Ashase Utaikatmyam Mahatmani Naham Ninde Chanastaumi Swabhava Vishamam Janam Eteshang Shreya Ashase Utaikatmyam Mahatmani Naham Ninde Chastomi Swabhava Vishamam Janam Etesham Shreya Ashase Utaikatmyam Mahatmani Naham Ninde Chastaumi Swabhava Vishamam Janam Etesham Shreya Ashase Utaikatmyam Mahatmani. Anyone else? Naham Ninde Chastaumi Swabhava Vishamam Janam Etesham Shreya Ashase Utaikatmyam Mahatmani Naham Ninde Chastaumi Swabhava Vishamam Janam Etesham Shreya Ashase Utaikatmyam Mahatmani. Anyone online?
Naham Ninde Nachastaumi
Naham Ninde Chastaumi
Swabhava Vishamam Janam
Swabhava Vishamam Janam
Etesham Shreya Ashase
Etesham Shreya Ashase
Utaikatmyam Mahatmani
Utaikatmyam Mahatmani. Okay. Na, not. Aham, I. Ninde, blaspheme. Na, nor. Cha, also. Staumi, praise. Swabhava, whose nature. Vishamam, contradictory. Janam, a living entity or human being. Etesham, of all of them. Shreya, the ultimate benefit. Ashase, I pray for. Uta, indeed. Aikatmyam, oneness. Mahatmani, in the Supersoul, the Parabrahman, Krishna. Okay, translation, we'll do it responsibly. Different people are of different mentalities. Therefore, it is not my business. either to praise them or to blaspheme them. I only desire their welfare, hoping that they will agree to become one with the Supersoul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Translation: different people are of different mentalities. Therefore, it is not my business either to praise them or to blaspheme them. I only desire their welfare, hoping that they will agree to become one with the Supersoul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Purport: as soon as one comes to the platform of bhakti-yoga, one fully understands the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vāsudeva, one understands fully that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vāsudeva, is the goal of life. Vāsudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. This is the instruction of all the Vedic literature. Vedaischa sarvaya ahameva vedya. Sarvadharmam pradityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. There is no use in praising someone for material qualifications or blaspheming him for material disqualifications. In the material world, good and bad have no meaning, because if one is good, he may be elevated to a higher planetary system, and if one is bad, he may be degraded to the lower planetary systems. People of different mentalities are sometimes elevated and sometimes degraded. But this is not the goal of life. Rather, the goal of life is to become free from elevation and degradation, and take to Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a saintly person does not discriminate between that which is supposedly good and supposedly bad. Rather, he desires for everyone to be happy in Krishna consciousness, which is the ultimate goal of life. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnanandana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and to all members of Shri Parampara. So, the Python man is declaring that he neither praises nor criticizes people for their temporary material characteristics, good and bad. You're going to find people of all kinds of mixed qualities and different elevations in life. But we cut through all that as devotees, those who have transcendental vision or trying to develop it. And this is a wonderful phrase here, or sentence. I desire only their welfare, hoping that they will agree to become one with the Super Soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Now, he's not wishing that they merge into the body of Krishna. One with means one in consciousness, meaning you're thinking of, and you're trying to fulfill the mission of. You're trying to serve. That's the whole purpose of bhakti-yoga, to come to the point of paring away all other desires, but that to serve Krishna and to make him happy. As is famously said by Jiva Goswami in his Sandarbha, what is it? Oh yeah, Bhajaniya Padama Purusha Sukha Matra Swasukadvam. Now many of you probably don't know that phrase. This is quoted in the second canto. There's a very famous verse, Akama Sarvakamova Mokshakama Hudata Di Tivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajeta Purusham Param, in the second canto, third chapter, text 10. And what that verse means, it comes at the end of a whole series of verses, which is almost like, I don't want to say a laundry list, but it's like a shopping list. You know, if you want a good wife, then you worship Uma. If you want powerful senses, you worship Indra. And it goes on and on and on. You can worship like that. And at the end of that, this is the verse afterward, because really this is a diversion. In other words, the Bhagavatam does not encourage you to worship worship the demigods for material happiness. It's simply saying that you can do this, but the real advice is in this verse. Whether you are free of all material desire, a kama, or you're full of all kinds of material desire, sarva kamava, or you're neither. You just want moksha kama, udaradi. Notice again, the word kama is paired with the word moksha, meaning that it's a type of personal desire. I want my liberation, and the heck with everyone else. I'm going off to the Himalayas and I'm going to conquer like it. You know, that's Prahlad Maharaj in his famous verse. We'll maybe quote that later. But he said, whether you want this or that or whatever you want, or you don't want anything, everyone should serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead with intense, serious devotion. Tivrena bhakti-yoga. Tivrena is often describing the sun rays, very intense and heat, and But tivra here means just intensely. Tivrena bhakti-yogena yajeta purusham param, the Supreme Person, Krishna. In other words, this was, and Prabhupada realized this. He acted on this understanding, and he would always, especially when his movement started going, and he was going around the world, and there were devotees in Africa and Far East, and of course America, Europe, South America, that he says, we're not concerned with their different colors or their different languages and whatever culture they have. This process of devotional service is meant for every living entity, what to speak of human being. But the human beings of any kind, if they have some kind of intelligence, they can be attracted to Krishna consciousness. And that was exactly Lord Chaitanya's prediction. My name will be chanted, my name is also Krishna's name, Hare Krishna mantra, will be chanted in every town and village. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was very, very eager that it be spread out of India, outside of India. Whereas most preachers, if they concentrate at all, they concentrate within India. So, and that's exactly, Prabhupada didn't, for preaching, he would criticize sometimes, but all with the motive of giving knowledge to people so that they would get away from their material calculation of their own body, their own situation, and their own environment, and begin to accept the philosophy of every living entity is a part and parcel of Krishna, and every living entity in a human body, if they have some intelligence left, can become Krishna conscious, can begin Krishna consciousness and start on the path back to Godhead. So that's he's declaring this, and here he's saying, he's opening his heart. Up until now it's been, whatever comes, I'll take it. I don't desire it all. I have some comfortable bed or something. Sometimes I sleep in a palace and a wonderful bedstead. Sometimes I sleep on the ground. You see, he's showing this indifference to material things that is characteristic of a advanced devotee, pure devotee. But what do they desire? Right? What does he desire? After all of these things that he doesn't desire, even food may come, may not come, otherwise I fast, I desire my only desire is for their welfare. All of these different people, hoping that they will agree to become one with the Super Soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And it doesn't mean merge with, obviously. It means become one with them in the sense we're supposed to become one with them. That we don't have a different program, that we've attuned our desires, our mind, everything, our activities of our senses, mind, and body to trying to fulfill the mission of the Lord, which we learn is one with the mission of the Guru. That's what a bona fide Guru is. So this phrase, I just want to go back to that, which I discovered early on when I was reading the second canto. I was reading the second canto back in the early 70s. And this phrase somehow caught my attention because it encapsulates the whole essence of bhakti. Just as we have it's like a compact version of Anyabhilashada Shunyam. Many of you have heard that verse. Very key verse near the beginning of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. What is this bhakti that we're practicing and propagating? Here he defines it. Anya abhilashita shunyam, completely devoid of all other desires. Then what? He'll explain that later in the verse. And then he gives the examples, the categories of material desires. Jnana karma dhanavratam. Now the word adi is in there, meaning and any other material desire may come with. So jnana karma or material desire means a desire for liberation. Basically, that's covered there because what is their discipline? What is their practice? Speculating, not this, not this, not this. And reading the Vedanta Sutra. It's all jnana, a lot of jnana. Karma, that's the standard desires in the material world for sense gratification. And then the other one is that's often listed in this, is the desire for siddhis, desire for yogic siddhis by the yogis, All of those, they're devoid of any of those desires, you see. Then what is it? What do you desire? Anukulena Krishna Anushilanam Bhakti Uttama. This is Uttama Bhakti. Favorable activity and thoughts favorable to Krishna. Trying to please him. You see? That's all, that when everything is cleared away, your heart is completely pure, that's what's left. Your desire to please Krishna, because that's our nature. We're servants of Krishna. We've lost that identity by exposure to the material world, and it's covered now, but it's all in there. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sadhya Kamanoi. Shobhanadi Shuddha Chitte Kadaye Hudoi. Very important verse. Lord Chaitanya is teaching to Sanatana Goswami. The eternal perfection of love for Krishna. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prem Sadhya Kamanoi. It's not a sadhya, meaning it's not something artificial to be gained from outside. Sadhya can have different meanings. Sadhana, sadhya. We want to know what the goal of life is in practice sadhana. But here it means that it's not something artificial to be brought by the living entity. It's eternally present. This Krishna prema is eternally present in the heart. Shavanadi Shuddha Chitte Kadayehudoi. That by bhakti, beginning with hearing and chanting. Shavana, adi means etc. Hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, all 9 processes. What happens? The consciousness becomes purified. And all of the dross, all of the abhadras and the anartas are cleansed away. We learn about that right near the beginning of Bhagavatam, or the first verse of the Shikshastika, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, right? Cleansing away, cleansing. Then this love automatically awakens. Shavanada Shuddha Chitte Kadaye Udoi, because it's already there. So that's the Anyabhilashita verse, but the Jivas Goswami, it's not even a verse, it's just a phrase, but it's very telling. So he says, Bhajaniya Padama Purusha. That's the Supreme Person who is worthy of worship. It's Krishna. Bhajaniya Padama Purusha. Sukha Matra. Matra means only. Only the happiness of that Supreme Person, swasukatvam, is your own happiness. You see? You're exclusively, completely tuned in. What will make Krishna happy now at this moment? You know, sometimes it's sleeping and eating. It's time to take prasadam. Yes, he wants us to take prasadam. It's time to take rest. We need to take care of the body, take rest. You know, can minimize it, but then there's all these different duties that we have. You know, those who would say, okay, get up early, chant the rounds if you're near the temple. Come to the temple. If you live in the temple, come down the stairs, you know, and go to the Mangalarti. So every day there's a whole course of things to do. And they're all favorable for Krishna. And we should be doing them in the mood of service for Krishna. Let me please you now by attending Guru Puja for your dear devotee, Srila Prabhupada. You know, that's all. It all comes down to that. So that's what he means by oneness. That when you say, I hope that they will agree to become one with the Super Soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So, let's explore this purport now. As soon as one comes to the platform of bhakti-yoga, one understands fully the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's a word missing there, that's why I marked it. One understands fully that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vāsudeva, is the goal of life. Vāsudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. So it's rare. You may have recognized this line Prabhupada's quoting from the Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Papadyate Vāsudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. After many births in this world, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Mam Papadyate. One attains real knowledge and surrenders unto me. You see? Understanding that I'm everything. Well, how is Vāsudeva? How is Krishna everything? He's everything because of his energies, you see, through his energies. And just as the sun and the sunshine are different, but they're one. This is inconceivably one and different. So Krishna is inconceivably one with everything, because everything, including us, we're his energies, different kinds of energies. We're part of the internal energy or marginal energy, but our nature is spiritual. But all of these things we're surrounded by here, they're material energies, which have been spiritualized by being engaged in the service of the Lord. This is not ordinary walls, ordinary paint and everything like that, because it's glorifying Krishna. See? And so we want to also do that. That's the whole, we have our own little material body, which can do things, right? and which we have been using till now in all of our births as trying to fulfill our material desires, which just gets us another birth, another birth, another birth, another. But if we have the knowledge, we receive the knowledge from the pure devotee, from the Lord himself, through the pure devotee, it's all coming from Krishna, then we get the understanding, oh, okay, we ask the right question. That's the beginning of Vedanta Sutra. The right question. Not is, where is money, where is food, where is sex? No. But everyone's asking questions, even the animals. But rather, who am I? Why am I suffering at all? And what is the real goal of life? You know? Is there a goal? And if so, I want to know it, and how can I achieve it? The goal of human life. Most people, everyone's asking questions, right? What's the price of this? What's the price of that? How can I achieve this? How can I escape from the police? You know, whatever. Whatever your situation is. So the life is full of questions and answers. But unless you come to ask the right questions from the right person, from the right source which can answer it, then is a tragic waste of human life. And that Prabhupada saw that, you know, and that's what the great acharyas see, that Jesus Christ saw that. Is that you know, people are just needlessly wasting their human life and not beginning the path back to Godhead, which is our real home and the real purpose of it is. So that's what Prabhupada came to teach, having learned it, having, you know, absorbed it, so much of the a whole life of preparation, study, and everything, and realization, of course. So when you go through the Bhagavatam, you see that all of the Bhagavatam is meant to bring us to the point of understanding what our real mission is as human beings, and to give us the determination to begin acting with that goal in mind, which is very radical. That's why people, you know, most people don't understand what we're doing, obviously, you know, you know. But that's so. Therefore, there is a certain tension built up, and the devotees, when they're really serving Krishna, wanting to do what he wants most, they approach people who might be receptive to at least investigating. You know, we try to get them to ask the right question. After they buy the book, let's face it, they may put it on the shelf if we're lucky. You know, they don't throw it away. That may happen a lot. But if they put it on a shelf and eventually they or someone else takes it off the shelf, it means that they're suddenly exposed to the absolute truth, and if they're curious about it, their human life really begins. They're asking the right questions. And many people, you know, many of us came through a book, came through becoming exposed to this wonderful, pure sound vibration that may be in the book, but it's still registering on our consciousness. And so, this purport is so nice. As soon as one comes to the platform of bhakti-yoga, one understands fully that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vāsudeva, is the goal of life. And Prabhupada quotes this verse from Bhagavad, how rare that is. Vāsudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabhaha. Not just difficult to find, but very difficult to find. And that's why it's you know, in different places, out of many thousands of men, or many thousands among men, you know. One will try. So our you know, task is to do those activities that will keep us enlivened in Krishna consciousness. Because if we're really enlivened, then we can more effectively spread Krishna consciousness. Because people will see someone who is not, and believe me, you know, nowadays there's an epidemic of mental illness, even among kids, you know. A lot of it is the stupid internet, the phone, TikTok, and all this stuff. You know, young girls growing up, you know, I mean, it's the other days they get to high school, and then they can be bullied, you know, or ostracized, or whatever, you know, just through the phone. And I'll tell you a little interesting story. Many of you have heard of Lakshmi Moni. I don't know if you've heard of Lakshmi Moni. Maybe that's different. She was one of the early pioneers in Gurukul for the girls. She joined out of Buffalo during that course that Rupa Nuga gave. It was amazing. Upstate New York, And he himself, I think, had been a teacher in college. He had the credentials. He was able to get a course, teach a course in this university, University of Buffalo, New York, on Krishna consciousness, basically. And there were, it was the 60s, I think it was 68, 69, like that. And so there was a lot of questioning and searching, and George Harrison was into it, like that. So he had all of these students, and you know who came out of that? Burijan Prabhu and Bhagavan Das, who played a very important role, and Gunagrai Swami, Gunagrai Maharaj came out of that course. Kushakrata Prabhu, who became a legendary translator, and everything, who translated so many books, and Lakshmi Moni, and also Satyanarayan, who's a BBT trustee, who very concentrates on Arab books and Persian books, and he came out of there also, and many, many other devotees. So anyway, he was able to attract that. And what was I telling his story? Now I'm losing the track. Huh? Lakshmi Moni, thank you. So she eventually married Jagadish, who became prominent. Jagadish, before he took sannyas, obviously, and they had some children. But he was concentrating on the Gurukul. He became the minister of the Gurukul, and she was also working with him on the women's side. They got to get education also. So when I used to go to Alachua 2 times a year for years, for 20 years, and she was there. She was running a school there for children of the people who lived there, basically. And it was very, it was well regarded. People would come there just to put their kids in that school, and there was also a boys' school also. So then, at one point, I came there, and the school had ended. It was dissolved. I didn't know why. And then when and she wasn't there at that time, but I eventually saw her again. I think in Toronto, because she was from Canada. I would go there also for the Rath Yatra. And I said, what happened with the school? Why did you close it down? And she told me that it was really due to the advent of cell phones. When all the girls had cell phones, let's face it, there was sometimes, some attraction between the girls and the boys, But now they had the opportunity to text, and do actually start a relationship even on their cell phones, very secretly. Otherwise, if they're seen talking to a boy, hey, come on, stop this conversation, And so they couldn't fight it, if one girl had a cell phone, they all had to have cell phones, it was just a thing that happened. And so that was it. And now it's become so bad in the public schools that there are places where they're going to outlaw them, where they're going to forbid the kids to have, at least those kinds of smartphones. Some simple phone that you can get a call from your mother, that's one thing, But there's phones that, you got the whole world in your hand. It's really, it's not good, because people take advantage of that, to all kinds of scams and pornography on there. It's just terrific, if you don't, devotees, of course, hopefully can keep off of that. But the idea is that what you hear, what you are exposed to, is going to affect your consciousness. And if you don't have any discrimination according to Bhagavad Gita and, these eternal, because you're trying to develop a certain consciousness, then you're going to be drawn down into some kind of cul-de-sac, and everyone's got, the video games. It's horrific. It's horrific for the consciousness. When I joined Krishna consciousness, there were no newspapers, there was no TV, in the ashram or anything. I spent 2 years, I didn't even know what was going on outside the ashram. All I know is that something was going on with the gas, because they couldn't fill up the gas tanks in the Sankirtan vans very easily. They got on a line, there's some kind of crisis with the oil crisis, the early 70s. There was a whole thing went on. The OPEC came in, anyway. But it was very blissful. We walk through the halls of the temple, and Prabhupada tapes were always playing, bhajans, and you just live on that. And that's the way it's supposed to be. So that's one fully understands the Supreme Personality of God. The Supreme Personality of God is Vāsudeva, and he's the goal of life. So as soon as one comes to the platform but coming to that platform of actual bhakti yoga is not so easy. to actually be sincere and fully, maybe not a pure devotee, but a very serious and fixed devotee, nishta, that we said. That's very rare. So this is destruction of all Vedic literature, and Prabhupada quotes Sarvadharma Parityajya. There's no use praising someone for material qualifications. So the praise and the criticism are all within the material sphere. As soon as you get into that, then you're in the modes of nature. You see, you're in the modes. You're praising someone because of some material thing that they helped you, or for some reason, or you're criticizing them for the same reason, and it is called kukata. There's something called Krishna kata, which is the kukata matigni. There's a wonderful verse that always comes to mind. It's by Lord Brahma in the 3rd canto. I think it's in the description of the Kingdom of God section. And he's describing who goes there, and then he has a verse who doesn't get to go. Yanna bhajant agabador vachananuvada chinvandiye annivishaya kukata matigni yastu shuta hatabagaya nabadata saras tang chapanta sadaneshu tamaksu hanta. Hanta is the last word he's lamenting. So here's someone who doesn't get to go. Yan navajanti. Here's who doesn't get to go to Vaikuntha. Agabador is the name for Krishna, means he who destroys all your sin-free actions. Rachananuvadash means a construction of words, namely either hearing words or writing and reading. Rachananuvada Trinvanti hears these words, Trinvanti Annivishaya, other topics other than that which deals with Agabada with Krishna. In other words, all this prajalpa, which is, and then this phrase that is memorable, kukata. Krishna kata is all nectar. This is kukata. This is bad. It's bad kata. Matigni, which destroys your intelligence. Then he goes on describing the effects of it. Kukata matigni yastu shruta. One who hears these vibrations, hata bagaya, loses all good fortune. Nibra, that human being, atasaras. Atasaras means that these vibrations, they destroy your interest in the ultimate goal of life. Saras means the essence, what we've been hearing here. What's the essence here? Okay, Anyabilasha Dashunyam, going back to Godhead, right? So it destroys any possible interest in that, because you're absorbed in all these material found vibrations in the modes of nature, you see? And then the last line is like hair-raising, it's like very, very sobering. Tong, chapunti, and all of these different vibrations, tom, chapunti, they throw you down. Ashadaneshu tamaksu, to a place where there's no shelter and it's completely dark, basically hell. And then Brahma himself laments, hanta, alas, Very, very graphic verse. Now, this verse, they don't come consecutively, but they're both by Brahma. This is one he speaks later on, but it perfectly follows this verse. You can put it. This one I memorized when I first read it many years ago, in the 3rd canto in the 70s. How's it go? Ye tu tradiya. So he's praying to Krishna here. Ye tu tradiya chadanambata kosha gandam jigranti kana bevaraishu divata nitam bhaktyaguhita chadanak padaya chatesham napaiti nata vidayambudahasvapangsa. So that word tu, tu in Sanskrit is a very important word. On the other hand, but, however, so if you place these two verses like that, then they work perfectly. However, on the other hand, those who smell the fragrance of your lotus feet, how? Through the ear holes, by hearing the Vedic sounds describing you. In other words, you start to develop, and Prabhupada mentioned this in one passage, in the spiritual world, it's not just Krishna that can perform all of the functions of each sense. Each sense can do it. You also can smell things by hearing about them. Just like, we have a kind of a perverted reflection of that. What is the whole thing about, who reads a book now? But I mean, in the early days, I'd read these books for class, Dickens, Charles Dickens, all these famous authors, and if they're really good at it, describing, and you're right there, you're experiencing it, you're feeling emotions, that they're feeling. That's the whole idea. Now it's all, now it's people watch the TV. But the whole idea is the same thing. You're experiencing, to a certain degree, what's there being described. So on the spiritual level, you can actually experience the reality. The sound is not different from Krishna, right? Hare Krishna, the name is not different. So all the descriptions are non-different. So you're smelling the fragrance of the Lord's lotus feet through the ear holes by hearing these sounds. And what's the result? Bhakti-yoga. You accept yourself, the devotional service to the Lord. In other words, then you want to serve Him. Bhakti-yoga chadanak padayachatesham. And the Lord is never separated from your heart, you see, in this case. So that's the alternatives we have. The whole thing depends on the sound. What are we studying here? We're studying the Srimad Bhagavatam, pure sound, as explained by the pure devotee. So it's all very potent. And so this is what, knowing this, we are meant to, what is it? Guru Mukha Padma Bhakta Chitate Kode Aika. This is like, in my humble estimation, the most important line in that song we sing every morning. It's important. It's good to go over. I bought like $100 worth of these songbooks 15 years ago from the BBT. They're still piled up here. They're not meant to be distributed, although I gave many out because I had a bunch at home also. And to go to that songbook, I painstakingly put in the word meanings for all the songs, not the little, the handbook that you can have, which doesn't have any word meanings. It doesn't help that much. You can sing along, but you want to know the meaning as you're chanting the song. That's what really is most potent. So. These verses are so powerful. That's J2 to D, and then there's another one that comes a few verses later. That's kind of the topping of all of them. Tvam bhakti-yoga padibhava larit saroja. Remember, Brahma's praying to Vishnu. He's getting or Krishna. He's getting a darshan here, either in his heart or personally. Forget. Tvam bhakti-yoga padibhavata ritsaroja aseshu tekshata pato nanunata pungsam yad dhyata huragaya vabhavayanti taddanvapu panayase sadanugrahaya. Sadanugrahaya, you're very merciful to the saints, to the devotees. So out of your mercy, you do what's described in this verse. So those who are here, smelling the fragrance of your verse through the ear sound, obviously they're advanced and they're progressing like that. So this is the final verse. Tvam bhakti yoga padibhavata. Those who are practicing bhakti yoga to do, you sit on the lotus of their hearts. You appear there, Fame Anjana. You appear there. But I'll say, you take your seat, I'll say, Shutekshita pato. Such a telling phrase. Shuta ikshita pata, who are practicing the path of seeing through hearing. The other one was smelling through hearing, right? Now this is seeing Krishna through hearing. The very sound itself, purifies your senses so much that you can eventually see Krishna in the heart. That's what it's all Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochana. So, and you appear to them in their hearts in the exact form in which they're worshipping you. You may be worshipping Krishna as a friend, or in Vrindavan like that, or as a young boy. We're coming up on the Kartik month. Whatever, they want to love you in a certain way. They're awakening their original Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema, and so then you appear just in that form to them, so that they can feel that they're always with them. Whatever they meditate, you appear in that form. Sadanugrahaya, out of your mercy for the devotees, out of your compassion. So these three verses I find very instructive. Purify the sound that we're uttering and that we're hearing, that we're reading. This is like the real sadhana that we're meant to undergo. And this Python man, now he mentioned Krishna here, you see? And Mahatmani in the Super Soul, Krishna Prabhupada makes it clear. So he's desiring, this is the desire of the soul. What is that phrase? You all know it. Sarve Sukhino Bhavantu, right? Isn't that one of the mottos? Let everyone be happy. Where do you find that today? Let everyone in my clan be happy. No, everyone of my color be happy. Give me a break. You have to see the humanity, the divinity of everyone. We're all part and parcel of Krishna. We're all Krishna's servants, and we can help each other to attain that state, our original state. So we don't criticize or blaspheme, or that. No, we simply try to spread this Gauravani Pracharane. We're meant to follow Prabhupada's example. And this word Pracharane, he always uses preach, because it's a similar word, Pracharane, preach, But Pracharane, I looked it up, it means to propagate in all kinds of ways. Because preaching is like no one wants to be preached to. It has a kind of a negative connotation, But people are willing to, take a book of knowledge from someone who, impresses them one way or another, In other words, that they can be open to that. Nobody wants to be preached to, But we're propagating. I'm not preaching to you now. I'm just trying to, expand a little bit on the wonderful words Prabhupada's given us here. So, he doesn't blaspheme, criticize, rather he desires for everyone to be happy in Krishna consciousness, which is the ultimate goal of life. That's the end of this purport. And I'll leave it at that. It's getting a little late. Any comments, questions, locally or remotely? Guess not. All right. Can I end with a poem?
No, you cannot end with a poem, only after my question.
Okay, Vijay, I'm ready for you.
Okay, so in the purport,
yes,
the second to the end sentence, if you don't mind reading it again.
I assume you mean the one that begins therefore?
No, it begins with...
rather?
Rather.
Okay. Rather, the goal of life is to become free from elevation and degradation and take to Krishna consciousness.
Yes, that is the sentence. So, based on this sentence, my question is, if taking to Krishna consciousness has nothing to do with being elevated or degraded, my question is, what will be my destination? Where am I going after taking to Krishna consciousness? If not being elevated or degraded, where am I going after I take to Krishna consciousness?
Oh boy, you ask a question, I don't think I have any kind of answer. No, wait, but let me see. I think I can figure it out. Let's see. I think it's important to understand the way the word is being used. When I read this, I thought of a verse, as I often do. And there's a verse in the first canto, 5th chapter, where Narada is speaking to Vāsudeva and encouraging him to write the Bhagavatam. And it's very Prabhupada quoted, Tasyaiva heto prayate kovido nalabhyate tad parama uparyada. Tasyaiva heto prayate kovido nalabhyate yad brahmatam uparyada. Brahmatam is wandering up and down. Brahmatam uparyada. Talabhyate dukkhavadanyutak sukham kalena sarvata gabhirarangasa. So he says, therefore, the tasyaiva in this case means therefore. And he comes after the verse where he says, what's the use of struggling and aspiring to do make success in the material life? What do you really gain after all? You die and it's all taken away. And what do you really lose if you leave your place in the varna and ashram and the material, and you just strive for Krishna consciousness? Even if you don't complete it, what is the loss? Because it goes to the next life, you see? So then he said, therefore, one who is wise, kovida, he should strive for that which he's not attained from going up and down. Tasyaiva hetu prayate kovido nalabhyate brahmatam uparyada. Wandering up and down the universes, up and down the species. You see? Elevation, degradation, yeah. So that's the idea, is that you become elevated in some species, and may still be on Earth, or you become degraded in some species, free, so we want to become free from that, and also wandering up and down the universe. We don't want to go to the heavenly planets. We don't want to go to Brahmaloka. We certainly don't want to go to hell. So we've been up and down in all of these things, but we've missed the goal of life. You see, that's the idea. Of course, this is the ultimate elevation, is to leave this world and go back to Godhead. But that's not the way the word is being used here in context. It's more like Brahmanda Brahmate Kom Bhagyavan Jeev. Lord Chaitanya says, that after wandering up and down in different Brahmandas, the universe, the fortunate soul, by contacting the spiritual master, gets the seed of bhakti and starts cultivating the bhakti lata in his heart, you see, by hearing and chanting. So that's the idea of the elevated and degraded, materially elevated and degraded. But it's not the goal of life to become materially elevated, in this life with more money and prestige. No, it's certainly not the goal to become degraded, but you will become degraded. So we want to get rid of all this, get free from birth, death, old age, and disease, and start on the path back to Godhead, where we'll become ultimately elevated back to Godhead. You see, in a different way. That's the way I understand it, Vijay.
Yes, and I think you understood it very well. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay. We'll adjourn. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Haribol. If you want a poem.